Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for episode 2 of Beastars, and I'm sorry for the wait for this one. Episode 3 is actually out already, but I have held myself back. I've not watched episode 3 yet because I wanted to do this review first so that it wouldn't all blend together in my brain and I could just view this episode for what this episode is, and it was amazing. Now the first episode I was like, this is my favorite manga. Beastars has been my favorite manga for months now. I've been preaching how much I love it, and it's finally got made into an anime. And I really, really liked it. But this episode, I think, is when I really started seeing how great the anime was on its own. Because for the first episode, I was like, okay, I love this series. I'm so happy it's got an anime, but there are certain things where I'm like, I wish they would have done this differently, or I wish they would have stuck to the source material more on this, or whatever. But this episode was just incredible. This episode was so good. I think I like it better than the first episode, even by a bit. I loved this episode. I thought they did so many really, really good things with it too. So, yeah, let's talk about it. From the beginning, a few general thoughts. I think the thing that stood out to me most, again this episode, just like last episode, was how good the voice acting is. And it comes to do, I think, a lot with them recording the voices with the voice actors acting this out as if it was a stage play. So many of the back and forth dialogues just felt so real. Like a lot of times you hear in anime you hear them reading lines and it sounds like they're just voice acting lines. But this, it didn't necessarily always sound like voice acting lines. It sounded like legitimate just people having a conversation. And in this world of anthropomorphic animals, it's weird that it is this world of anthropomorphic animals, but I get caught up in it, in what they're saying. Like, it just seems like it's an actual real person talking, not somebody acting out lines. So again, the voice acting, amazing. I think that the way they took the chance of doing it this way paid off a million times over. And not only does it turn out to just sound really good, but it sounds really good and it fits in with the whole theme of the drama club and the play and everything. So it kind of works in sort of a dual nature. It's really good. Another thing, other than the voice acting, I like that with a lot of the animation, with the blending of 2D and 3D, and a lot of the stuff they did with the 3D, I love the artistic and chance-taking approach they took. Now, they took some chances, Studio Orange that is, when they did Hoseki no Kuni, in the way that they did Hoseki no Kuni, with the 3D animation and stuff. And it was amazing. It absolutely paid off. But it feels like for Beastars, they were like, okay, this is out of the ordinary for anime. It's anthropomorphic animals being basically the whole cast. No anime that I know of has really done anything like this before. So it's like they saw how out of the ordinary this was, and how difficult it would be to try to take something so out of the ordinary and fit it into the typical anime box, that they were like, let's just take a bunch of chances. And I really, really like the approach, because so many of the chances are paying off, because it's clear, like, I'm going to be doing live reactions to all the endings each episode, because each episode is seemingly having a separate ending. The heart and effort put in, because that's a lot of extra work, just the effort that they've put in to make this work kind of makes those chances pay off. Like, even when they take artistic chances, they've put so much work and so much heart into making this anime that it totally works. It completely works. One thing I was thinking when watching, because I watched the episode and then I watched other people's videos and stuff, at least 2 reactions. Not that they need me to shout them out, given that they are much larger channels than I, but 2 channels that I've particularly really liked their videos on Beastars so far is, oh god, and now that I'm here on the spot, I'm really hoping I don't mess up any names. Lala Fluff Bunny and I think it's Trophy Munchers, or is it Trophy Crunchers? I get the 2 confused. But I've watched them both for various, because I know, like, one guy is Trophy Crunchers, one's Trophy Munchers. I think it's Trophy Munchers is the one. Oh, I can't remember which is the one. the one that isn't Joey, or I think is the other guy's name. Oh man, I feel so bad now, not remembering everything about them. But they're two channels that I've watched other series reaction videos on their channel, and all that. But I've really liked their Beastars videos. So yeah, watching their videos, after watching the episode the first time myself, I noticed this one line, and it might just have to do with translation, where Legosi's like, I've never had a conversation with a small creature like this before. And also, I didn't see Voss anywhere during the scenes of this episode, so I was like, hold on a sec, did they just decide to not animate Voss? Did they just decide to strike him from the record and not put him in the anime? But then, watching again to take my notes for it, never mind, he was there, and he wasn't there in the cafeteria scene, but he was there in the opening scene in Legosi's room. So, for those of you that don't know, because one thing that kind of works out differently with manga and anime, unless the anime does it like Boku no Hero Academia, where they put the characters' names under them when they show up most of the time. In manga, when characters show up, they'll put like, and in Beastars as well, they'll put like little boxes explaining the characters' names and different things like that. So one thing that we didn't get for the anime was like the members of Legosi's little backstage team there, their names, or the names for Legosi's roommates. So there's Collet, who is some sort of sheepdog, I believe. People are going to get mad at me if I mess this up. I'm pretty sure Jack is a lab, isn't he? I think he's a yellow lab, not a golden retriever, though he might be a golden retriever. But yeah, there's Collet, there's Jack, there's Migano, the hyena, there's Durham, the coyote, and then there's Voss, the fennec fox, and those are Legosi's 5 roommates. But in room K9, or K9 room 701, that's another thing that they explained in the manga, because I went back up. I'm not going to talk about the manga too much. Sorry if I'm getting into it a bit too much, because I know some people don't like comparing it all that much. But another thing is that they had sort of this just quick explanation of how the different dorms are separated into different sort of species families. You know, the more closely related people are, the sort of determines the rooms they would end up in, with roommates that are somewhat similar to them in species. So that is something that was sort of left out of the anime. But Jack notices, I love the opening scene here, where we're in Legosi's room with him waking up and everything, and Jack sort of notices that he's a bit different than usual. Then we get into the opening. The opening is so good. I love it a lot. Now, the song, I think, is particularly just super catchy, but also they do a lot of really cool visual things that I like. Whether it's when things go from dark to light, when Legosi and Haru are at the fountain, or just the fountain's animation itself. I love the fountain's animation. How detailed everything was is really great. And another thing that I love a lot is how the forest that they're running through is like antlers and stuff. I love it. And we have the one sequence, of course, where they're standing and we see they're on top of Lewis's antlers. But I like, even other than that, how the forest itself is just antlers. I really like that. But we get our flashback back to what happened the night before with Legosi and Haru there at the fountain, and Legosi's trying to hold back his instinct. All of this was animated and directed super well, but he ends up being stopped by Zoe, who calls out to him. Haru gets to run away, and we learned that Lewis was injured protecting Zoe, which is cool. I like that we get to see these little teeny layers of the characters peeled back. Then we have our scene in the the cafeteria, where we learn a bit more about the world itself, including that meat consumption is illegal. The menus are designed to suit various animals of various species. We get a My Milk reference, which I think is pretty cool. Then Legosi and Lewis stop this fight between some random guys. Really, Legosi yells for them to stop because it sort of sets him off seeing the one guy bite the other. And from there he's like, oh crap, I drew attention to myself. How do I lose and make this convincing? Even though this other guy is talking mad shit despite being like way smaller and weaker than Legosi. So eventually Lewis puts a stop to it all. We get our first time hearing the term Beastar, and again, this might be because I'm super grateful to the people doing these fan translations for the subtitles and everything. This may have something to do with the fan translation of the subtitles, or it may just not be explained that well in the anime, but this explanation of what a Beastar is not a good explanation whatsoever. I'm not going to get into anything in depth because that's stuff that we'll learn later on. And I don't want to say anything before it's time. The only thing I will say is that this same exact sort of line, the same explanation, as it was translated in the manga, was a little bit better, where more than saying it's like the top of the school, the hero of the school, it's more they explain it in the manga's translation as a representative chosen by the school to, after they graduate, go into sort of an important status place in society, sort of like a politician almost. So the Beastar gets sort of a nice sort of spot in society once graduating. They're sort of a representative chosen by the school, and we're learning now that Lewis, because the one guy accuses Lewis of just doing all that he does to just kind of, he's trying to be the next Beastar, basically. Then we get our little commercial break. After that, we have the Adler scene that they really went all out on. That was really, really good. And in general, Lewis's character, his voice acting, his movements, and everything about Lewis is just so good in the anime. I'm really loving his character here so far. And again, I love the conversations, like when we see Legosi's little backstage group talking with one another. Their conversation was really good. We have Kai, who just joined them, of course, after last episode, seeing him get kicked off the acting team or whatever. We have the Bluebird guy, whose name I don't know, the Panda Fudge, and the Anteater Kibi, and there might have even been another member, but those are the ones I remember at least. So again, this is another one of those things where, because of the way the anime is, we don't get their actual names told to us. So from there, oh man, I love during their conversation, we get this scene. This is probably the best scene in the anime so far completely, where we see that Lewis's leg is just all jacked up, and we have this amazing OST as he stands up and limps toward the door and then straightens up and walks through it confidently to tell everybody to continue. As Legosi is talking about, man, there must be so much pressure on him. He's really suffering, trying to be this herbivore, playing a strong character, and it was so good. It was so good. So from there, we see we learned that Legosi is a second year. He finally meets Haru again on the rooftop. It was funny with Kibi just saying like, "Sorry, bud, I'm dipping out of here." From there, we learn more about Haru, that she is all alone there in the gardening club, and that she treats the plants as her children. And this is something I love about Haru's character. We're first starting the series. I wasn't sure how much I'd like her, but just, she's so complex and so multifaceted. And I talked about it a bit after episode 1, where I was saying she sleeps around with a lot of people, and that causes her to get bullied. But also she talks about how it sort of is a place that gives her a bit of freedom or a bit of equality, because these people, these larger animals, always come to her treating her like she's smaller or that she's insignificant. And so the thing that causes her to be bullied is the same thing causing her to be significant to people. And it's sort of that dichotomy and that struggle there with her character, and it's complex. It's a shade of gray. And like we see the way she talks to the one Harlequin rabbit in the first episode, and some of the other things she says, she's kind of snarky, but at the same time we see here with the way that she treats Legosi and her plants, that though she's kind of snarky and can even sometimes be a little bit of a jerk, she's at the same time really kind. She's a complex person as a character, you know? It isn't just this one-note thing. And we see that with other characters. Legosi, this big, strong carnivore who's actually just sweet, innocent boy. But he's also incredibly awkward and has trouble talking to people and everything. And how Lewis is sort of trying to overcome his physical weakness as a deer by putting on this act of being this big, strong person and not letting his leg sort of slow him down or people to see any weakness in him as he sort of puts out this bravado as if he's definitely going to be the next Beastar. He's exuding this sense of strength despite being an herbivore. So I really love how these characters are just really, really complex, and I hate to say deep because it sounds so cliche, but yeah. So I like another thing with Legosi here. When he's thinking about Haru, he's like, she doesn't torment me or comfort me. I just can't look away from her. I really, really like that. Another thing, that's kind of where we end with her. This cliffhanger being like, I don't want to call this cliffhanger... I don't want to call it misleading. I don't want to call it annoying because I think it makes for a good story, this cliffhanger. But at the same time, when we ended on that cliffhanger, I was like, really? Really? So I'm not really sure how to describe it, but we had that cliffhanger. Another thing I noticed this episode is that the animation is so good. Like, so many of the things, especially I noticed it on the rooftop scene, are just really vibrant and lively. The characters are always moving around, making small expressions, which is something really important to be sure to add in with 3D animation. There's like butterflies fluttering around, the flowers are moving a little in the wind, everything is just really vibrant and feels alive, and I really like that. The ending, I love the ending. It's really, really good. And as a score, I'd give this 9.5 small animals out of 10. So good. I love it. I really, really loved this episode. This even more than the first one. So yeah, I'm going to end this and then try to get episode 3's review out as soon as possible. But real quick before I end, one thing I wanted to talk about is there is a scene that was left out of the anime that was in the manga that explains why Kibi was so scared of Haru and why he ran off. I just wanted to say, if you're anime only and you don't want to know about the scene that they left out or the context behind that, because I don't mind that they left it out or anything. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to and all that. And you can sort of just go if you don't want to hear about that now. But I'm going to talk about that before I end the video. Just wanted to give you fair warning if you wanted to dip out early. But yeah, let's talk about the scene that was left out, the Kibi flashback to show why he was so scared. So in the flashback, we see Kibi with a Harlequin rabbit, so of course we know that that had to be the person that was the boyfriend of the Harlequin rabbit from last episode, and some other friend, and the Harlequin rabbit's like talking about this nice rabbit they've been seeing and everything like that, and how hot they are and all that. And so the other friend starts describing some like kind of intimate things about Haru, and so the guy's like, what? Wait, and Kibi's of course telling the first guy, wait, like, don't you already have a girlfriend? Aren't you supposed to be some great sort of same species couple? Why are you sleeping around with this rabbit? And so the other friend starts describing intimate details of Haru, like, oh yeah, you're talking about the girl that's like this, right? And so the guy's like, wait, what? How do you know all that stuff? And the guy's like, yeah, she sleeps around with a bunch of people, like, she chews men up and like spits them out. And so that's why Kibi's so afraid, because he's heard these rumors that Haru is just this dominant force that chews men up and spits them out. And so he's like, oh no way, I'm out of here. This is why I told Legosi to handle it, because she's kind of a teeny rabbit and I don't expect her to try anything. I don't expect her to try him with a or anything with a large breed carnivore, but especially somebody as awkward as Legosi. So I think that was funny, a little bit of a flashback that gave a bit of context to why Kibi ran away, that they just left out for the anime. Again, I don't really mind that they left it out or anything. Just a bit of context I wanted to add in for some of you if you were interested. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that if you want to for this and much more. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated on stuff for the channel or talk to you there. If you'd like a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us on Discord about Beastars or anything else, it's free and open for anyone. Just ask and I can give you a link to the Discord server. We have separate sections there for the anime and for the manga so that nobody spoils anybody. And yeah, that's it. If you want to help support the channel so that I can continue to make videos on the series, then I guess Patreon would be the way to do it. It's patreon.com/HakuOfTheTubes, or a link will be in the description. Sorry if I've been a bit off in this review. I don't know, I'm just feeling a little bit off. But yeah, either way, thank you so much for everything, and I'll see you all next time.